Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio today with the Soundtracs Topaz recording console. Today I'm going to do a mixing or summing demonstration, depending on what you want to call it. I think in this case what I'm doing today is kind of a little bit of both. But I'm going to show you how I do parallel compression using the Soundtracs Topaz and some of my outboard compressors for the demonstration. I'm going to be using one of my songs from the 13 Channels album that I released in 2017. The song is called Blue Crystal. So let me bring you in for a closer look at what we've got here laid out on the console and what compressors I have on the buses to do some parallel compression with. I've really been experimenting with how to set the camera up to film the console better when I do some of these demonstration videos. There was one guy on Facebook that I talked to. He said he had taped his phone to the ceiling to film his console when he was mixing, and unfortunately my ceiling above where I have the Topaz is slanted, so I don't think that would really work for me, although that was a great idea. I don't know if you can see in the video, but this ceiling here is slanted, which is, pretty much a good thing for acoustics in the room here, but it makes it where I definitely can't tape my phone to the ceiling to film the console for you guys. I hope I got the camera where you can see this okay, and the Sharpie I was using to label these tracks was a little bit thick, so it may be hard to read, but I do have kick and snare on separate channels over here on 1 and 2. I always lay the kick and the snare out the first and second track of my mix. Then I've got a stereo submix of the 3 toms. And then this pair of channels is the overhead mic, which was a mono overhead, combined with a pair of stereo mics for room mics. Then we've got bass guitar, clean guitar. This is a mono track. This is actually comprised of 2 tracks on the computer. They're both mono clean guitar for 2 different sections of the song, so they're here combined on this channel. Then our heavy guitars here in stereo. Then we've got a stereo pair of tracks here, or channels rather, on the console for guitar fill, lead, texture. Voices, which is the lead vocal and a high and low kind of octave vocal. Then stereo reverb. Then over here we've got some compressors inserted on the buses. On the 1 and 2 bus in stereo, I have the LA Audio 4x4 compressor. On bus number 3, I have the DBX 163X compressor. And on bus number 4, I have the Symmetrix 501 compressor, but I actually haven't sent anything to that yet, so it's not really being used, but it's hooked up if I want to send something to that to do some different parallel compression during this mix. All the drum mics on this song, back when I tracked it, they were all using the Soundtracs Topaz console preamps. I wasn't using any outboard preamps on the drums. I did use a PreSonus MP20, the instrument input on that for the bass guitar. Clean guitar was a Fender Rock Pro 1000 with my Maton MS2000 Deluxe plugged into it. That would have also been probably an SM57 with the console preamp again. Heavy guitar, the exact same setup, same rig. I really only used one mic on the guitar cabinet for this, just an SM57, but this heavy guitar does have a kind of an ADT stereo widening effect on it in the box, and I think the sides of it are EQ'd slightly differently, so it has a nice heavy stereo sound. The guitar fills and textures would have been the same rig. They're also in stereo. The delay on these and on the clean guitar, that's probably the amp spring reverb, and the delay would have been a Line 6 Echo Park that I used to have. Vocals would have been the Rode NT1 on me. It's me on all 3 parts. And Rode NT1, console preamp. The vocals were compressed to tape using the LA10 over here in the rack, as was the bass guitar. So a lot of the sounds here that you're hearing in this mix are baked into the tracks already, is the way that I recorded it. There's not a whole lot going on the console. I've got a little bit of EQ here on the snare drum, boosting a little bit of 7 K, which I do often on snare, and a little bit around 240. That's something typical I'll do on snare drum. So I'm using the console EQ for that. None of these are on. The bass guitar EQ is turned on just to boost a little bit, just a tiny bit of 80 hertz, not even to the first mark on the knob there. And that's it. There's no other EQ or anything else going on the console other than the parallel compression and the fact that we're going through the console circuitry with all of these tracks to pick up some analog flavor and saturation. And that's pretty cool. Here's a close-up of how I have this parallel compression set up for this mix. This is our kick drum on channel 1. It's being sent just to the main left-right mix. It's not being sent to any of the buses that have a compressor connected to them. The snare, it's being sent to the main left-right mix and to bus number 1 and 2. The toms in stereo are also being sent to the stereo main left-right mix and to bus 1 and 2. The overhead room mic combination is being sent only to the main stereo left-right mix, so it's not going through the compression of the LA Audio 4x4. Bass guitar, that's bass right here, it's being sent to the main left-right mix and also to bus number 3, so that it's going to go through the DBX 163X compressor and also to the main mix. And that's all I've got so far on this mix. That's probably all I'm going to do parallel compression wise. I don't need a whole lot of other things. And so there are our bus faders. So to this one we have the snare drum and the toms. And going through this one we have the bass guitar. But we also have the dry signals of each going straight over here to the main left-right mix. A little more detail on the bass track or the bass channel here. It is panned to the center and it's being sent to the main left-right mix and to bus number 3 so that it hits the DBX 163X. And yet it's panned to the center, so technically it's actually going to bus 3 and 4 equally. But in the master section, on the bus masters, you can see that bus 1 and 2 with the LA Audio 4x4 and some drum submixers are going to left and right respectively in stereo, but bus number 3 with the DBX 163X and the bass guitar are going equally to the left and right by assigning bus number 3 to both sides of the main mix. So the cool thing about parallel compression is, I'm sending the bass guitar here over to bus number 3 that has the DBX 163X connected to the insert. This insert is going to send out the same level as whatever I'm sending to that subgroup. So wherever I've got this bass guitar fader over here, that's the level that's going to this subgroup and then going out to the compressor. The fader is actually more varying the volume of what is coming back from the compressor and how much of it is going to the stereo mix over here. So I've got bass queued up. I muted everything else. I didn't mute these. They don't really need to be muted. They're all the way down. They don't have anything connected, but we'll do that just because it looks cool. And turn the lights on. And I'll play some bass through this so you can hear the difference between with the parallel compression and without. I can try to do the drums. Let's see how that works. If I mute everything but the drums and turn off our, well, that won't matter because the bass is muted. and we'll have our drum compression submix that's going through the LA Audio 4x4 here, and we'll play back some drums with and without the parallel compression. Now let's see how the analog summing and parallel compression and everything works together in the full mix. Now I'm going to sit here and mix this in real time by hand, the old school way, because it's awesome and it's super fun. Soundtracs Topaz is great for this kind of parallel compression. Any 8-bus analog console is really good for that. I mean, you don't really have any latency problems or anything. I haven't noticed any kind of weird phasing issues or anything with the Soundtracs Topaz console, or really any others that I've done this with. Although some, if they're not serviced correctly, if there's a difference in the circuitry on your buses versus your channels, you may run into some issues there with some older boards and things. But this console, or something like a Mackie 8-bus, the Allen & Heath System 8, I mean, any of these kind of Project Studio consoles or even higher end consoles with buses, they work great for this kind of thing. And it's a great technique. So I hope you enjoyed getting to see some parallel compression on the Soundtracs Topaz recording console today. I also hope that you'll go and check out the links in the description of this video and most of my videos to music and things that I've produced, my Reverb store, Bandcamp page, all those things that help support this channel. I don't think I have anything much on the Reverb store right now, so you might bypass that one. But check out those links in the description, as well as liking this video and subscribing to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel. Don't forget to tell your friends who are into this kind of stuff about this channel. And I hope you all have an excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond, whatever it is you're having. Have a good one. And thanks so much for watching.